Been told that he'd have 20 minutes where the video feeds would fail. Until now, he hadn't been positive it was true, but there was no way he'd have made it this far without those things being disabled. It was go time. Turning toward the doors, he quickly jimmied the lock and slipped inside. Again, no alarm, as promised. He'd also been given instructions and a crude map for how to rescue the principal. The French doors were the entry point in what appeared to be an unused guest room. He wouldn't be going out this way, though. Hell no. He'd be going right out the front gate. Normally, he had his M4 carbine rifle for any mission, but not this one. It was too bulky for the close quarters and likely hand-to-hand combat he'd be facing. He was coming in with his silenced MP5 submachine gun, a K-bar knife for up-close kills, grenades in case he had a hot exit, and enough Semtex to blow this place to the ground. This job was too last minute, and they didn't have enough intel. Less than 24 hours ago, he'd been at Camp Pendleton, debriefing his commander on his most recent mission and dreaming about a cold beer when two men in black suits, like a fucking cliché, walked in and ordered him out. Barely a half hour later, he was gearing up again and headed out on an unmarked cargo plane to a vague destination with a team of guys just as in the dark as he was about the mission. His commander had demanded he be on point for this, since he had more experience and more kills. Now he was about to put his skills to good use. Scanning the plush room, he made his way to the far door. First, he placed a small brick of explosive under one of the dressers, pushing it up against a wall. It was undetectable to the eye in case anyone peeked in the room in the next few minutes. Once it was in place, he paused at the door and listened intently before slowly pulling it open. One of his sidearms drawn, he swept out into the hall. Empty. His rubber-soled boots were silent as he hurried down the hall, mindful of the damn video cameras. Even though they were turned off, their presence made him feel like he had a bullseye on his forehead. At the designated door, he found the keypad entry system just as he'd been told. Levi typed in the code he'd memorized, wincing at the soft beeps each press of a button made. The door opened with a barely discernible click. The CIA must have a seriously deep mole in Jimenez's organization for this kind of intel. His boots were silent as he descended the flight of stairs. According to his information, there might or might not be a guard waiting. He slung his MP5 over his shoulder, then pulled out his K-bar as he reached the bottom stair. The stairs opened up into another hallway with 3 doors. A guard was leaning against the wall next to the middle door, where Levi needed entrance, looking at his cell phone, probably texting. Without pause, Levi hauled back and threw the blade at the man. It hit its mark, sinking into his throat. Eyes wide, the guard's phone fell from his fingers, clattering against the wooden floor as he reached up for his neck, making choking sounds. Before the man's knees had even hit the ground, Levi had closed the distance between them. He withdrew the blade, then cut the man's throat. Quick and efficient. Unfortunately, there was a shitload of blood. Shoving the body to the side, he easily picked the lock. Adrenaline pumping, he withdrew one of his backup pistols. The back of his neck was tingling, his gut telling him the shit was about to hit the fan. His instinct was never wrong. Pushing out a slow breath, he eased the door open, weapon at the ready. There was only one piece of furniture in the small room, a twin bed. A slim, hooded female was lying on her side on it. Her arms were bound in front of her with flex cuffs, and she wore thin shorts and a tank top. Her breathing kicked up the slightest notch when he stepped into the room, so he knew she wasn't asleep, but she also wasn't calling attention to herself. Smart. She was tall and thin, but he couldn't tell if she was the teenager or not. She was a little more developed than he expected a teenager to be. Still, even if she wasn't part of the mission, he wasn't leaving any woman here like this. He didn't have the operational latitude to make that kind of decision, but if the CIA didn't like it, they could suck his dick. No one was getting left behind tonight, and if he had to improvise, so be it. "Scorpion," he whispered, the only code word he had to give her. At that, she jolted upright. "Yes." Her voice was raspy beneath the hood, as if she hadn't used it lately. There was a metallic collar around her neck, holding the hood in place.